Welcome to 1991 Movie Rewind, a podcast where we watch and review every movie released in 1991, from the all-time greatest classics to the critically panned and everything in between. We will rediscover forgotten fan favorites and uncover hidden gems as we explore the depths of direct-to-video. Join us in our celebration of the fun, unique, and diverse films of this highly underrated year. This week, we watched Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. In Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, Bill S. Preston Esquire, played by Alex Winter, and Ted Theodore Logan, played by Keanu Reeves, may have passed their history exam, but that doesn't mean the future is guaranteed. An evil genius from the future named Nomolos is determined to change the course of history in his favor, and the best way to do that is to kill Bill and Ted. He sends evil robot doppelgangers back in time to dispose of the budding rockers and take their place before a pivotal Battle of the Bands speech. The only way Bill and Ted can change the fate of the world this time will be to find a way to come back from the dead. Screenplay by Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon, directed by Peter Hewitt, and released on July 19th, 1991. You've seen Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey before, I'm sure?
Yes, because we watched it
watched it together a couple of years ago in preparation of the third movie, Face the Music.
And yeah, I've watched it a lot when I was younger.
I saw it when it came out in the theaters. We went to the drive-in as part of a double feature. I don't remember what the other movie was. I was looking through our list, and nothing was ringing a bell as to what was released around that same time that we might have seen with it. So I don't remember what the second movie was, but we definitely saw it in the drive-in. And I liked it then, and I like it now.
Did your parents like it?
Okay. My mom will always claim that she doesn't like these stupid comedy type of things.
Uh-huh.
My dad will laugh, along with us, but then also sort of, agree with my mom. So, yes and no.
Okay.
I'd say, they knew that we liked it, and they probably enjoyed the first one enough as like a stupid, mindless comedy that they're willing to take a chance on this one, especially since the kids wanted to see it too.
Yeah.
So it's not as good as the first one, but it's not bad. This is a worthy sequel.
Yeah, it's not horrible. It's
ringing endorsement.
Yeah. I don't know. There are worse sequels out there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we've covered some of them, and we will cover more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and House Party 2 is not a worthy sequel. But...
No, that should have just ended at the first one.
And I think what this one does right is that it doesn't try to cover a lot of the same ground. This is not going around and gathering up historical figures to help them with a task for the future.
Right. Yes and no.
There are historical figures.
But they're not using them to help with whatever they need.
Yeah, Bill and Ted are just seeing them in passing, or we see them at the beginning sequence where Rufus is teaching the class.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole purpose is not to go around and time travel. In fact, the time traveling that's done is not by Bill and Ted at all until the last scene.
Yeah.
Which is also very interesting to me.
Okay.
That's how different this movie can be. They're not trying to rehash a lot of the same stuff. Obviously, they're going to have some callback humor. They're going to have some callback situations. But it's not a rehashed plot.
Right. That's good.
Yes.
And then I like how it's in the year 2691. You know how certain movies from, I don't even know, in the 80s or whatever, when they talk about the future and it's 1999 or something.
Yeah.
At least it's far enough in the future that it's not we didn't pass it already.
Right. I think Rolling Thunder I think that was 2020.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And then Terror Within 2, I think, was already passed.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. So yeah, this is 2691. Obviously, the tech that they have to show is going to be much less sophisticated than what you would see 7 decades into the future. But, you know, you still have like CRT type of screens instead of holograms or
yeah, we
whatever
watched
might
the
be existing then.
special features after that, and it's like the director and the cinematographer, and then there's like the guy that did all the special effects, and he's like, these are the best special effects you'll ever see, and we're like, okay.
Yeah, I was trying to think, like, how serious was he trying to be with that type of a statement where he's like, these are going to be really good special effects, they're going to blow you away, when anything that's not practical, anything that's digitally done through green screen or whatever is really bad. It's very, very cheesy, and I thought that was the point.
Right.
I thought that's what they were going for. Like, you know, let's say when Bill and Ted are going into the ears of the police
But it seemed like that guy
officers.
was very serious about it.
It did. I mean, I liked the effect of the phone booth. You know, even back in '89, the phone booth traveling through the wormhole tunnels. That's cool looking. You know, the little flame square when it lands and everything. But yeah, stuff like station coming together and forming a blob, that's kind of cheesy when they're, you know, going, especially when they're like going in and out of the ears of the police officers.
Right, that
looks really bad.
Well, certain parts reminded me of like how cartoony it was, kind of like Freddy's Dead.
Yeah.
Just certain... Well, that part, I guess, where them trying to possess, you know, the dad.
And but the cartooniness works in this movie's favor.
Yeah, I mean, this is good to do the cartooniness. Like, with the Freddy's Dead, that was just like... I don't know.
For a movie that's supposed to be scary, you don't want to laugh at the visual effects.
That movie is supposed to scare you, and it's like you're using cartoony type graphics and stuff. This is not really meant to scare you, even though they go to hell and stuff, and it's quote scary maybe.
It was a little creepy to a 10-year-old me.
Yeah, a little. I used to be kind of like freaked out by Station.
Sure, yeah, I mean, definitely I can understand that. I think the Easter Bunny, like the scary face of the Easter Bunny.
Yeah,
you know, not his normal thing, but when he gets into like, you know,
when he's got like fangs and stuff.
Yeah, the fang face of the Easter Bunny was freaky as a kid. Also at the very beginning when the robot us's are, you know, peeling back their head and revealing the skull. That's a little creepy to, you know, a younger kid too. So it does have like a slightly darker tone.
Yeah.
But overall it is extremely cartoony, so it's tough to... Or it's easier to take that stuff in stride. And you do have Death, but he's obviously, you know...
Like, you make fun of him, and he's not... He's
a big goofball who's just looking for approval. He's begging for attention.
because he's a lonely guy that has to kill people.
Yeah. Completely misunderstood, and now he's like, oh, maybe I have some friends now, and, you know, needs that validation. Which is an interesting twist on the character, I think. Really well played by William Sadler. He even had a Saturn win for Best Supporting Actor for this movie. The special effects were nominated for a Saturn Award, by the way. I'm sure it lost to Terminator 2.
Well, yeah, I'm like, I'm comparing all of these special effects to Terminator 2, and I'm like, Terminator 2 is like eons better.
Yeah, I mean, that's where a lot of the budget to T2 went. You know, that's...
special effects.
Yeah, I mean, that was crucial to the movie, and that was a huge turning point in cinema, I think. It's like that, and then a couple years later, Jurassic Park. Before T2, we'll get into that more when we talk about that movie. You had more stuff like this.
Yeah,
or what you saw in like Willow, where, you know, the effects are super cheesy, but like kind of cool because they're cheesy.
Right, yeah, like all 80s horror movies, like all of their special effects with just dealing with the makeup and stuff. I feel like that's even better.
Oh yeah, practical was always better back then, and I mean, you can definitely make an argument that it's still better now in a lot of cases too. So, having going back to the robot us's, having them pull apart
their stomachs
to reveal their innards, that's much more effective because it is a real prop.
Right, yeah. Instead of getting like a CG type person / robot to do that.
Exactly.
In front of their eyes.
But now that would probably be a CG effect.
Yeah, they didn't really have anything like that in the third movie, did they? I can't really remember. No robotic things like that.
They had like that
they had that robot,
but
he wasn't like a human.
He didn't get like
skinned
disassembled or anything.
Yeah,
I don't think. So yeah, they didn't have that type of thing going on. I do remember that the special effects were quote unquote better in the third one for like the phone time travel, which was kind of disappointing to me.
Yeah, you kind of want the cheesiness
look. Yeah. Obviously, having a phone booth as a time travel device is an interesting choice as well, considering how they've quickly become antiquated. And you're talking about something that's happening 7 centuries in the future.
Yeah, did they still use... I can't remember.
I think there was an article about how the last phone booth in New York City was finally removed just this year.
Yeah, so they can't... Well, I'm just saying, like, for the third movie, did they had to have used the phone booth.
Yeah, they used the phone booth still.
Even though that was, like, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't remember if they commented on it or not. The third one's not bad.
No.
But it's not, it's the worst of the three, but, it's not...
It's fine.
It was still good. It was still enjoyable and funny, and I think that, they handled the story relatively well. But we're not talking about the third one, we're talking about the second one. This one, again, I think the original director, Stephen Herrick, did not come back for this one because he thought that this movie was a parody of a movie that was already a parody. Okay. And I think he's right, but I think that's what makes it fun. I think this whole movie refuses to take itself seriously. And they go to this extra length and say, okay, well, we already did the time travel bit. What other kind of over-the-top situation can we put these people in? Oh, yeah, they're going to be dead and they're going to walk through hell. They're going to walk into heaven and come back from... basically...
Yeah, come back to life within 24 hours.
Yeah, be like, I don't know, like resurrected.
Yeah.
In such a... Because they have this fate of the universe that depends on them. And I think that's just, a really good way to go about it. Again, like not rehashing the stuff that happened in the first one. Again, there's some callbacks, like when they're in the Battle of the Bands and they talk things into existence. Mm-hmm. Like they do in the first one, where okay, well, we gotta remember to come back in time and get the key, and so we can unlock yourself from prison and everything, and it's that kind of. They don't care about time travel rules. They don't care about explaining the science to you. Just sit back and enjoy your popcorn. And that's what should happen in these types of things. There's some things that aren't explained, like how Nomolos can talk to the robot us's across time periods. He's stuck in 2691.
Right.
The robot us is
using
Ted's
eyeball.
Which again is a slightly creepy thing.
Well, when he popped his eye out.
Sure. Or take their heads off and they're talking from inside a trash can or something like that.
I mean, that whole scene has been cracking up. I don't know, because you can just obviously see like when they have like a dummy or whatever when they're holding the heads, or even when you have the real Bill and Ted with the robot Bill and Ted's. You have these doubles. I don't want to say stunt doubles because they're just like walking behind them, and
right.
I mean, you can obviously tell.
Yeah, and there's a lot of split screen type of work that's being done. And so, yeah, if you have Ted on the left side of the screen and Bill on the right-hand side of the screen, and you also have their doubles, then they're going to be swapped. So it's Bill and Ted on the left and Bill and Ted on the right. You're not going to have two Bills on the same side to make things easier to shoot and split in half if you're shooting it that way. So, yeah, again, it sort of leads into the whole thing about cheesy effects, but it's still fun. I think obviously a lot of what adds to the humor and the enjoyment of these movies is just the characters of Bill and Ted themselves. You know, the synchronicity of them, how they basically share a hive mind.
Yeah.
And that they're not really stupid. That's the weird thing. Like, even in the first one, I could argue that they're not incredibly stupid. They may be bad at history.
They just...
But, like, they throw in, like, bigger vocabulary words here and there. And, you know, sort of going off of expectations. You know, they're saying dude and whoa a lot.
Right.
But then they'll mix in a, 5-syllable word here and there when appropriate. And, that kind of, like, level of, unexpected vocabulary adds to the humor of the situation.
They just, I think they're just obsessed with wanting to get their band on the run and be famous. Like, that's their goal.
Yeah, that's sort of their
But they
goal.
were also kind of, like, lazy about it, because they're like, oh, we actually have to practice.
Right. Yeah. We don't know how to play still.
Yeah.
It's been, like, multiple years. Because they just, they assume that things are going to work out, because they've been told it's going to work out. Rufus is saying, you are the future of this world, and so it's going to happen, because here I am, I exist, and it's all self-fulfilling prophecy. Again, sort of like T2, which we can talk about later when that comes into play. Clearly, this is the comedy version of the Terminator, in a sense. I mean, you even have that similar plot point where, okay, this is the second turning point in history. That's what Nomolos is saying. This is the second major turning point in history.
Yeah, going back to try to change history by trying to kill Edward Furlong or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
it's like, okay, we failed the first time around. Now we're going to go to this other point of history and try it this time.
Yeah, try to kill the child of...
Yes.
And then this one is just like, try to kill them before they even become famous. And then it's like, the turning point is when they become famous at that Battle of the Bands.
Yeah, because they give some sort of a speech there, which I don't think they even have the speech at the end of this actual movie. They do.
The first one?
No, this one.
Oh, this one.
I don't think they give a speech so much.
It was at the end.
They play the song.
Yeah, but they talk about it when they come back.
But it's not like a big old speech. I don't know. It's like a couple... It's like, yeah, be good to each other. Now we're gonna rock.
Yeah.
That's it. It's nothing monumental. But
because they're being televised around the world, and the whole world knows who they are now.
Yes. Yeah, again, self-fulfilling prophecy. Nomolos is there because they've come back from the dead. They defeated the robot us's, the evil robot us's, thanks to the good robot us's they built. We're jumping all around in this whole thing. We need a phone booth to get ourselves back on track. But, so, like, Nomolos made the whole thing that he was trying to prevent happen by being there. And again, that kind of leads into the whole T2 thing, which we can talk about. But, going back to what I was trying to say about Bill and Ted as characters as well, I don't think that they're necessarily stupid. I think that they're like human puppies, right? They're overly optimistic. They are very trusting. I think the only stupidity that you could argue in them potentially is their naivete.
Yeah.
That they're so trusting of everything. And
right.
That they, expect and assume the good in everyone, that they get taken advantage of and they get put in these situations.
Yeah, they just believe in the good of everyone. They don't think there's such thing as evil, I guess.
Yeah.
Even when they deal with death Or even when they talk to Satan. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're down in hell. They're on the rock of Satan, that they're supposed to be, I guess, breaking as part of their eternal punishment or something. And they just talk to Satan and like, hey, devil dude.
Yeah, they're not even afraid of him. They're like, oh, you're pretty cool.
It's like, hey,
this isn't what the hell is supposed to be like, but whatever. Like, they're just happy-go-lucky about wherever the hell they are in hell.
Just take it in stride and,
Yeah, they're not, like, they don't have anxiety about anything.
No, it's just nearly memory of a goldfish and, here's a new hurdle to overcome. Okay, let's just do it. Yeah, and you gotta admire that type of a thing, and I guess that's maybe one of the reasons they're called upon to be the saviors of the world in a sense.
Yeah, because of their, I don't want to, like, their pureness, I guess.
Yeah, kind of pureness. This movie, we've already talked about the bad special effects. I think there's also certain scenes where there's really not so great production values as well, especially a lot of the future stuff. And I would say the heaven stuff too. It felt like Suburban Commando to me, especially in the beginning, because you have like Nomolos and these future outfits, the big black whatevers, and then the rest of the people, all of the students or whatever, they're in basically like over the top foam, neon foam clothing with huge boots and looks like Nerf outfits.
Yeah, like moon boots.
And so it kind of comes across as,
and it sounded as if they're speaking like Simlish or something.
Yeah, they don't really get into what language could be. Rufus is speaking in
English,
typical,
but it sounded
English,
as if they were speaking the people in the school. It sounded as if they were speaking in like a sim language.
It could be, yeah. I don't know. I think it's interesting that they don't show anyone other than Earthlings in there. I guess it sort of makes sense, but the fact that Station is in this movie.
Well, Station is in heaven. Because they say they wanted the smartest person in the universe. That includes heaven, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the smartest person who's available to them in the universe, which I guess anyone who's in heaven is available to them. And that would be Station, who's in heaven. But, I guess it's sort of like a double-edged sword, where I understand why they don't want to show any other types of beings aside from humans, because you don't want to ruin the reveal of Station, who is supposedly a Martian.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, that Station exists. And so, like, at some point,
because people
Station
keep on
is in
saying
heaven,
Station even before we even see Station.
Yes. Yeah, Station is like the new synonym for cool. And we think that, that's just future slang that's evolved and we're not in on the joke.
Even the evil robots say Station.
Mm-hmm. Which should be your first clue that they're going to fail. Yeah, you're sort of left out of this in-joke, and then you're about halfway through the movie, you learn that Station is a person and what his role or their role is in this whole thing, and that sort of became... That's how it entered the lexicon, is because of the events of what happened halfway through.
I'm so... Like, how come Station, the term, didn't become a thing? Did people say Station after this movie?
Maybe to a degree.
I never did, because I
mean, this movie wasn't super, super popular. Like, it's well known, but it wasn't like a massive hit. I don't know. Like, I enjoyed it a lot. But it's number 34 in the box office. It's not a huge hit, but it did make some money.
That was the other thing that was this. I'm just keep on thinking about the behind the scenes stuff. When Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter are being interviewed, they're like, "Can you explain the terms that you use in the movie?"
Yeah, and some sort of press packet thing. I guess.
And one of them was like, can you explain most excellent? And I was like, why? I mean, do you not? Why not just say, can you explain station or like gnarly or I don't know. Like, why most excellent was the first question.
I don't remember exactly. They don't.
And they
look
were
like
something that's really cool. It's just.
They don't look happy to be there. They're just like,
I know.
Okay, this is the stupidest thing. It's some voiceless.
Yeah, we don't
narrator.
see the person asking the question.
And so it's someone, it's basically just trying to.
Or unless it's like them riffing off of them doing all these press junkets, and then whoever is asking this question is just like, making fun of the questions that they usually get asked.
That could
asked on these press junket things that people have to do for movies. Because they probably get asked the same questions over and over and over.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And then, Alex Winter, he just starts making fun of Scientology even there.
Yeah, that could be what they're trying to do, is sort of take that to the extreme as well, with...
I think they were kind of having
interviewers
fun.
And
yeah.
It's like, so what does it mean when something's excellent? Oh, it means that it's good.
Yeah.
What if something's really good? Well, then it's most excellent.
Yeah.
And
that's what
I was
like. I think they're trying to be funny.
It's like, what if something is heinous? Oh, that's bad. What if it's not heinous? Oh, then it's good.
What if it's non-heinous?
Well, yeah, that's bad.
Well, no, it's non. Then it's good.
So that's the type of answers and questions that are given in this behind the scenes thing.
I'm more fixated on the behind the scenes stuff than the actual movie.
Well, we already covered the premiere party in a different episode.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what was that the week before this movie was coming out, or the day before? Because we have the TV guide, and I was like,
you couldn't find it in the listings there?
No, it wasn't the same day this movie was released.
But did you check the other days to see what day that was? I don't remember.
It could have been
what movie
another.
We were covering when we discovered that existed.
Me neither, but.
So it might have been Earth Angel or something. So it might have been a Wednesday night. So we got a little bit off track, I guess. Let's talk about how Rufus is not really in this movie much at all, too, which is also kind of strange. Again, you're not using time travel and Rufus in this whole story. It's this whole new thing. And
he's as the bad robots are going back to present day, he, finagles this guitar to have it stick to the top of that photo booth or phone booth. And then he lassos a wire or something around it, and he goes down into the portal with them. But then when the two evil robots come to Earth, he's not there, and they just assume he's dead. And I wonder if I guess we are assumed that he is just dead.
Yeah,
or gone or lost.
Or lost, yeah.
But then we find out later on in the movie that he was posed as Pam Grier's character.
Right, who's booking the Battle of the Band in the first place.
And they even joke, would you really think that Pam Grier's character, Miss Wardrow, would really pick your band for Battle of the Bands? It's been me all along.
Yeah.
Rufus.
Yeah. There's a big reveal near the end. So it's
Ms. Wardrow. I thought it was Ms. Wardrobe, but it's right. Ms. Wardrow.
I don't know how that works, and again, that's part of the science or whatever that they don't explain, even within the context of the movie. They don't say oh, did he know how to take a branching path and land a couple weeks earlier?
Well,
or
you see Pam Grier talking to Bill and Ted before this whole thing with the evil robots coming back to Earth.
Right,
so
exactly.
Yeah, he may have gone back a couple weeks.
Yeah, but if she's the one booking all of the bands, then how far back did she have to go? Is this Rufus just another version of Rufus? And so, like, he had traveled back to that other point in time before this, and then he, you know, like, is it alternate timelines that are kind of, like, working in parallel? You know, that's the kind of stuff they don't bother explaining. Is like, yeah, no, it works out because it works out.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So yeah, not a whole lot of Rufus. I mean, I guess there isn't tons of Rufus in the first one either, now I'm thinking about it.
No, he comes in the beginning and then at the end.
Yeah, he's just there to be a
like
bigger name person, to lend credence to the comedy movie by having George Carlin in your picture.
Yeah. And
he wasn't much of an actor at that time. He'd done some stuff like Car Wash. But he wasn't, you know, like before Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, he wasn't in a whole lot of movies and stuff. And then after that, he got roles in things like Thomas and Friends and Shining Time Station and Dogma and whatever else. So, but he was mostly known as a stand-up comedian. You know, he's won 5 Grammys for that. He's, you know, 6 Emmy nominations for his various specials and whatnot. So, you know, just having a very well-known comedian in your movie helps to bolster it, and he wasn't really needed as much here except for to tie things together, because they don't bring all of the cast back. They bring the dads back. Bill and Ted's fathers are both back.
Missy is back, and their girlfriends.
Missy is back, although she is now divorced Bill's dad and married Ted's dad.
Yeah, I like that storyline.
Yeah, and I like how they carry it over into the third movie too, marrying Ted's brother.
Yeah, but at the end credits where they're showing all the tabloids about Bill and Ted's rise to fame.
Yeah, all the ripple effects of this Battle of the Bands concert and whatnot.
Right. Yeah. It shows that Missy marries Nomolos, yeah. I wonder, like, does that...
Like, how does that work in the timeline
in the
spectrum?
Third movie?
Right. I don't remember if they mentioned that at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or if they just kind of ignore that, or if that's something that happens in the future, and, like, she time travels to 2691 and marries him.
Yeah, that could have been after she's married to the brother in the third movie.
Yeah, because I don't know, I'm sure they probably had dates on some of those articles.
Yeah, they kind of just, like, flip around and you read it for 10 to 15 seconds until another one pops up.
Yeah, you get the joke of the headline.
I mean, I like that instead of, I mean, I always want bloopers, but I like that.
Yeah, if something's going to be over the credits.
Yeah. Give me something to laugh at in the end credits.
Yeah, it's a nice way to do an epilogue and show. Basically say, it's almost also a way to say there is not going to be a third movie. Or we have no plans for a third movie at this time. Here's what's happened after this event.
Yeah, for the next 400 years. Yeah. Like, they just end world peace, basically.
No, they start world peace.
They start it. Sorry.
They're not going to end world peace.
They end war, and then they start world peace.
Yeah, their concert in the Middle East, you know, brings that region together.
Yeah, ended the war, and then one of the funny
2 shows at the Grand Canyon because the first one sold out and all this kind of stuff too.
Like one of them 2 of them that made me laugh was that there was a rumor they were going to break up, and then the Dow Jones whatever went down,
plummeted
to 500% or something ridiculous, and then 2 seconds later, it's like the Dow Jones is at the all-time high because that was a rumor of the breakup of the Wild Stallions.
Breakup is a hoax. Dow Jones rebounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to see all those cause and effects at the end there, and I think they do that pretty well with the third movie too. How they talk about some of the historical stuff that's happened, and obviously, you know, they have some of the stuff with Death and how he's going off to be on a solo career because he joins the band at the end of this one too. And the station is sort of involved a little bit too. They talk about how Bill and Ted are going to be the first people to go to Mars, first rockers in Mars. I'm not sure first people, but first rockers in Mars and stuff like that. And they have whatever. Oh yeah, we were talking about Station and we kind of got sidetracked a little bit. Station is from Mars, and so yeah, like I was saying, they have the reveal of when Bill and Ted are in heaven that they're, going to be meeting the most brilliant minds, and so they're surrounded by people like Albert Einstein and Benjamin Franklin and all these other random people, and then they're all circled around somebody, and then the crowd pulls away to reveal it's these two little puppet things that kind of look like Hoggle from Labyrinth. And
with like their big butt cheeks.
Yeah, they're kind of like ball sack looking.
Yeah, they look like two ball sacks.
They kind of look like ball sacks.
I don't understand. Like, okay, when they were making the good robots, why did they have to become one big station? And then they when they finished that, they became two separate things again.
Yeah, it's things that they don't explain in the movie, but I'm cool with them not explaining why.
But they could have just stayed as big station. I don't know.
They could have, but yeah, there's some line from Bill saying, "Okay, you can rest and split into two again now if you want."
Or is big station just like the meeting of their minds? Like it's like two halves of a brain becoming one brain to make these robots.
Yeah, faster, more efficient, or something, but also like more exhausting. Who knows? But I think, having that weird little quirk of alien behavior that we just are never going to be let in on is okay with me. I don't know. It's interesting. It's weird that they have aliens in this in the first place, but again, it is a little bit weird that they are the only aliens that appear in heaven or in the future.
They don't
whatever.
Show them going to other planets and stuff. Well, besides Mars, but we don't see it.
We don't see it. But it's also kind of weird the way that everything is handled. So obviously, okay, Bill and Ted get killed. Mm-hmm. And I also really appreciate the way that they handled that visually. So after they are killed, they're presented in alternate costumes.
Gray. Yeah, well, they're all grayed out.
Yeah, they're all grayed out, but it's not a camera filter. It's that they actually gave them different wardrobe with muted color tones. And so like the yellow smiley face on the back of Ted's jacket is now like a very, very muted yellow. And they're given like white face makeup to give them the ghostly appearance. And it's, it's better than just doing it in camera, I think, honestly. Because it allows for pops of colors in other circumstances when you need it. And yeah, so like the green is now a black and gray scale. But they go to hell, and again, this is sort of like the cartoony part of it. Well, they're not in hell yet. Basically what happens is Missy sends them to hell inadvertently.
Yeah, they run away from, they see Death, and Death is like, you have to, well, not even. He's like, come with me. Yeah. And then Bill and Ted is like, how do we come back to life? And Death is like, well, you're going to have to challenge me on some games.
Yeah, challenge me to a game. And
that's when they do,
like... back.
But then they trick him by saying your shoelaces are untied.
And that they have to Melvin him, which is something... Was Melvin a term for you growing up?
Never.
No.
It was a wedgie.
Yeah, wedgie. Super wedgie.
I've never
atomic
used
wedgie. But
I
Melvin,
never used the term Melvin.
Maybe it was like a West Coast only thing.
Yeah.
And I have not heard Melvin...
Since this movie.
Yeah, probably since this movie. Even in the context of wedgies or whatever. And so...
and then they just walk off.
That Death... Yeah, they run and then I guess Death doesn't know how to find them or whatever. And so they're going around to find different...
and that's when they...
Well, they get their own personal hell in the meantime. Right?
That's when they're like, we need to find... Yeah, they find his dad first.
Okay, so the personal hell is all afterwards. Okay.
Yeah, that's after...
After Missy.
That's after hell, because that's where Satan sends them.
Okay. So... Well, actually, yeah, Missy kind of... opens that portal.
Well, yeah, Missy sends them to hell by their seance.
Yeah.
Because they think they're evil demons.
But they first go to the police station and try to convince the dad that, hey, Bill and Ted are both dead, and they're giving a talk to the police officers in the station about what to do, and so they possess the dad by going into his ear, and then
I mean, the acting for this is really great.
Yeah. So you have
like Hal Landon should get like some sort of recognition for.
Oh yeah, you got Hal Landon returning and
Ted Logan
doing his best impression. We're gonna see Hal Landon again in Defending Your Life in 1991. So another movie that deals with the afterlife. It's also been in things like Eraserhead and The Artist. And a lot of people who might be watching this or listening to this may know him more as one of the meme faces for the LA Noire video game. About how, remember the LA Noire game that we talked about, that we played? He's talking about like how hyper realistic the LA Noire is and how you have to use like subtle facial clues to understand if you need a doubt or something. And then they show his over exaggerated like Robert De Niro like eating a lemon type of a face as an example. Okay. So that's him. So yeah, he's doing his best Ted Theodore Logan impression as an actor because Ted has embodied him. And then you have the other person, I didn't write his name down. He was in Total Recall and a few other movies. He's going to be in several other 1991 things, so I didn't write him down. Bill takes over his body, and they're like, come on, cop dudes, we gotta go rescue or, find Bill and Ted's killers. Things like that.
Yeah, the cops are just sitting there befuddled.
Yeah,
I don't know.
flabbergasted.
Yeah, they're just like, what?
And then when they do air guitar, like it's no longer an electric guitar, it's like
an acoustic guitar sound.
So just like little quirks and...
That's funny.
Yeah. But that doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't work. So then they're like, we have
Missy.
Someone else in mind. And Missy has her and her new age friends.
Yeah, and they're doing like seances all the
seance.
time. And they're like, have these seances ever worked? No, never, dude. And then, it's going to work tonight. And then, they're in this big group of seances, and you actually see all kinds of different fun special effects, which are also very cheesy. But Missy then uses the book that sends evil spirits
to hell. Well, because they think they're evil spirits, and they're like, let's do this chant.
It's kind of interesting that it works on them, right? Because if that book is, if those chants were meant for evil spirits, that means that Bill and Ted are evil spirits. If you think about it,
I think that's interesting. To send any spirit. I thought it was just to send any spirit. The
cover said evil spirits.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just saying, there's something that we don't know about Bill and Ted.
Well,
even though
before they do that seance, they say all the people that died recently that they want to contact. So why even have? And it's all like, I don't know.
It's all famous people, yeah.
All famous people, which that made me laugh because when I was at camp when I was 15, we did a seance and I said Kurt Cobain.
And it didn't work? What a surprise.
No, this side story, the seance worked, but we did not get a famous person.
Random guy?
No, we got someone's grandmother.
Okay.
But we didn't ask for it, but it just whatever. That's a ghost story that I could tell people if they want to hear it. So I don't know. That's the only ghost story I have.
Bonus episode. At this seance, we do have the writers making cameo appearances. You have Chris Matheson as the ugly seance member, and you have Ed Solomon as the stupid seance member. That's how they're credited in the.
But
at the end of the
it
movie.
Makes me laugh because when they're watching the Battle of the Bands on TV, it's just Missy and all her seance people. That's her. She doesn't hang out with anyone else. Like not even, Ted's dad.
No, I mean he might be busy with work. Who knows? So yeah, they're at the seance and they get sent back in the afterlife, and then you have this cartoony moment. It's been done a million times where they're just falling in this endless pit and they're yelling and screaming and then they stop,
like, and then
they start screaming again, and then they just talk about stuff, So I mean, it's a thing that happens a bunch in cartoons or anything else, but it's
right.
still relatively effective here because it just fits the tone. It's, you know, it may be expected, but it's good. And then they fall into actual hell. They experience their personal hell. So we talked about a little bit with the Easter Bunny thing. You know, the Colonel Oates, who's going to take him away to military school and all this kind of stuff. And then you got Bill's grandmother wanting a kiss, and he's like this grotesque version of himself. Alex Winter plays the granny.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that sequence because it had the best set design.
The hell part?
The personal hell part. So, you know, when they're on the rocks and whatever, it's just a blue screen, which is fine. You know, it's interesting to see rocks floating in midair with chains leading to whatever. That's interesting. But it wasn't a great set. But you have like expressionism and you have exaggerated set pieces when you're in these different childhood memories that are haunting them. And it's really interesting to see, you know, that's their version of hell, is like these situations where, oh, I didn't kiss my grandma. You know, that's like a tortured memory of him. Or, oh, I stole my brother's Easter candy. Those are their big, deep, dark secrets. Yeah. You know?
Those are their biggest fears.
Yeah. I mean, obviously going away to military school, Colonel Oates, you know, played by Chelsea Ross, who's, you know, from like Major League.
Another fear.
Yeah, that's a legitimate thing, but it's not like something that haunts them, but it's like a past memory. But yes, that's the most legitimate one of them all. But they're going through all this stuff, and then they're like, okay, we need to get out of here. I guess we need to challenge death. And so they summon him and play board games.
Which is like my favorite part of the entire movie.
Yeah.
I always liked that part, even though it's like 5 minutes long.
I know.
For some, I thought it was longer when I was younger.
Well, because he keeps on changing the goalposts. You know, they beat him in Battleship, and Death is frustrated because this is like the first time he's lost, as far as we know.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, best 2 out of 3." And so then they play Clue, and he loses again. And
they play like this electronic football thing, and
5 out of 7, and best of 7.
Yeah, and then he loses on Twister.
And then, so he's now at their bidding, and so they asked to go to heaven to get help.
Yeah.
So it's basically, they don't want to necessarily be brought back to life yet. They need a plan to get back at the robot us's, because they're just going to kill Bill and Ted again.
Right, because they're robots.
Because they're strong robots. And
humans can't fight strong robots, so they're like, we need someone super strong or someone super smart to build nice robots.
Yeah, so now we need to have
But why couldn't they find someone on Earth who was alive at the time to build these robots?
Ask God, because he's the one who sent them to Station. See,
so Station was in heaven, right?
Yeah, so Death brought them to heaven to help find someone who is smart enough.
And they gotta dress
up,
the
smartest person in history.
Funny. I don't know.
Yeah, they have to mug people to get into heaven, which is a weird little thing. I don't know why that is
why they even have to.
Yeah, why that happens or whatever, but...
and the gatekeeper is like, what's the meaning of life? And they just give them lyrics to every rose has a thorn.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, you can go in. But that's when they go into this party to find a smart person.
Yeah, God talks to them. I don't know if we ever hear God's voice. I don't think we do.
No.
But he gives them a map to find this person that will help them in their quest. And it leads them to this party where Station is doing charades. And again, it's sort of like a typical joke where all he's saying is Station, but everyone understands exactly what he means.
Mm-hmm.
And you can communicate back to them, and they understand, but they're going to reply with Station.
That's like Groot or whatever. I don't know.
That's what Groot is now. Same type of thing. but that's fine and it works. And so then they are all allowed to return to Earth, including Death and including Station, who was also dead.
Yeah.
So why that happens, I'm not exactly sure, but cool. God allows it, I guess.
Yeah.
God can do whatever he wants, right? So that's what he does. And so they're all there. Now they go to the hardware store to find all the supplies to build the good robot us's. They don't talk about how they pay or whatever.
Right.
You have the director making a quick cameo. He's the guy who's smoking inside the store, and Death is like, "Oh, I'm gonna see you soon." So that's the director, Peter Hewitt. And then they rush to the Battle of the Bands while doing this stuff. While Station forms into one and builds this robot. I mean, in all honesty, it could have been that they morphed into one just because it was easier to have one actor for a set amount of time for some of the filming.
Instead of two little things.
Yeah, instead of two little people in suits for this large
They couldn't
amount of time.
even have shown them. They could have just shown hands building things.
True. Because that's what a lot of it is.
Yeah.
But they didn't. I don't know. That was not part of the featurettes that we saw, so we don't know. Then the Battle of the Bands stuff happens, and again, Nomolos appears, and it's the good robot us's very quickly dispatch of the evil robot us's. It's just like a quick little punch, and
yeah,
it was like
rock'em sock'em robots, and that was it. It was like a 1 minute thing.
It's really interesting to me, just as a quick sidebar, how not only Bill and Ted are naive, but also everyone is, because they're all taken aback by the evil us's, the princesses, who are played by different actors in this movie than what we saw in the first one. And then also played by different actors again in the third movie.
Oh, I thought it was
never had the same princesses in any of the three movies. So, but, they're all assuming that this is the real Bill and Ted, even though they're just suddenly much more crude, much more obnoxious, much more self-centered, and completely unlike them. And it's just interesting how the subtleties in a personality can make such a huge difference in but yet not everybody picks up on those things. So this time you got Joanna, played by Sarah Trigger. She's going to be in a few more 1991 movies. And then we have Annette Azcuy. I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name. A-Z-Q. I'm sorry.
Azcuy.
A-Z-C-U-Y. She plays Elizabeth. And she didn't have much of a career. She did a bunch of small roles. She was in like a Sinatra TV miniseries the next year, but not much else. But yeah, they're not the same people who were in the 1989 movie. So yeah, the Battle of the Bands happens. Nomolos appears. He's ready to take matters into his own hands. He zaps all the TV cameras, which allows it to be broadcast across the entire world. So every station is showing this Battle of the Bands to show Bill and Ted's demise, basically. And then they do the little verbal gymnastics to say, oh, well, we gotta remember to go back in time and build the sandbag to drop the gun onto, drop the gun out of his hand. We have to get this cage to fall onto him. And then Nomolos is like, well, I'm going to go back in time and I'm going to get a key. And so he gets this key. And I'm going to get another gun. And he gets another gun.
Yeah.
And then it shoots, the flag. Again, going back to cartoony stuff.
Right. Saying
wild stallions. And Bill and Ted's like, you got to remember, only the winners can go back and actually set things up. So, that happens, and then the only part of the time travel it happens in this movie where Bill and Ted actually do the time traveling. They go into the future to learn how to play their instruments because they still haven't learned.
Yeah, they were like, we don't know how to play yet.
So they spend 18 months training, and then they come back to this moment with children and ZZ Top beard and weird facial hair. I don't know if Ted was supposed to be emulating somebody specifically.
I have no idea. Yeah.
But he's in some weird outfit with, this goatee and mustache, and Bill has the ZZ Top beard, and they both have kids strapped to their back. And everyone rocks out. You got Station, and you got the good robot us's as background dancers. Inside those suits are people who are in the break-in movies.
Because they were kind of doing dances.
Yeah, they're doing the robot, popping and locking. And
yeah,
stuff.
okay.
Yeah. So they got, professionals inside those suits to do that. And then Death is there playing the bass, and he does like a little famous quote beforehand. Not famous enough for me to remember verbatim. but, but he's joining the band and shows off his super goofy side and everything. And then it's the Kiss song, God Gave Rock and Roll to You, and then credits. We can move on. Alright, so we've gone on for a while. Let's quickly talk about some of the cast and crew. I'm going to skip over quite a few of them because several of them are going to have other 1991 appearances. Peter Hewitt, the director, he has a BAFTA win for Best Short Film, The Candy Show, back in 1989. That allowed him to get this, his first feature film role. He also, He also directed The Borrowers, Garfield in 2004, Home Alone, The Holiday Heist. And also in 1991, he directed the video for Information Society's music video, Think. Chris Matheson has done this and also Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Face the Music, and also the TV series. Same thing goes for Ed Solomon. They worked on all of those Bill and Ted projects together. He's also done Mr. Wrong and Mom and Dad Saved the World with Ed Solomon and a Goofy movie. Ed Solomon did also a couple of additional things without Chris Matheson. He did Super Mario Brothers movie. He did Men in Black. He's done stuff like The Gary Shandling Show, the 2000 movie Charlie's Angels, and Now You See Me 1, 2, and 3. And yes, there is going to be a third one of those. Keanu Reeves, he has been in a few more 1991 movies, so we're not going to talk about him too much. He's going to be in Providence, Point Break, which actually released 1 week after this movie. My Own Private Idaho, and then also the Paula Abdul Rush Rush video was this year as well. Prior to this, he had been in such things as Parenthood, River's Edge, Babes in Toyland, and Dangerous Liaisons. Alex Winter was in the 1991 MTV sketch show Idiot Box, which I think lasted just for a few episodes. It was like I don't think I ever watched it, so I can't really comment on how good it was. He also directed the video for Photo Graffiti by the band Extreme in 1991. He's known for writing and directing the movie Freaked, which he also starred in. He got a Fangoria Chainsaw nomination as the writer of that. He's directed Fever. As an actor, he was also in the Bill and Ted's TV show, as well as Lost Boys. He now mostly does directing of documentary type projects. William Sadler, he's in the 1991's movies Rush, Tag It, and The Last to Go, which is not on our list. He's been on things like Die Hard 2. He was also in Freaked and Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile, Mist. He also has a non-Grim Reaper role in this. He's the dad of the British family that you see in some of the montages and whatnot. Joss Ackland plays Nomolos. I'm not going to talk about him too much other than he hated the fact that he was in this movie. He regretted taking the role. He's, one of those high and mighty actors. I don't understand why people are like that.
Well, okay, when
What's
you
wrong
get
with being in a popcorn movie?
Yeah, I don't know, but don't you get a script and read it, and you're like, oh, I don't want this?
Yeah.
Or is who's his manager that's like, hey, we got a role for you?
Like, I mean, he still got paid, and it's a movie that
it's
people
like a cult
enjoy.
Movie. So
like, what's wrong with that? I could understand regretting it if it's a matter of, oh, I turned down being Hannibal Lecter to be Nomolos.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's his choice if he did that.
So I can understand regretting that choice. But it's not like he didn't work in 1991. Here's the movies he was in. Sheltering Desert, Object of Beauty, Murder of Quality, The Bridge, Princess and the Goblin, Brown Bear's Wedding, and Agatha Christie's Miss Marple, They Do It With Mirrors. That's all 1991. So we'll see him a bunch. Pam Grier as Miss Wardrow, well-known cult actress from the exploitation era who carried on success from movies like Jackie Brown, About the Law, and also TV shows like The L Word, but she was in things like Big Bird Cage, Coffee, Foxy Brown, and things like that. And then I think the last things I want to mention really quickly are We have 2 seance members that we haven't talked about yet because, I mean, they're just seance members. I think they had like one line, but they had interesting careers since then. We have Dana Stevens, who's credited as first seance member. She went on to write the movies City of Angels, For Love of the Game, Life or Something Like It, and Fatherhood, which is a more recent Kevin Hart Netflix movie. And then we have Carol Rosenthal, who is the 4th seance member. She was in the sketch comedy shows In Living Color for like a year. And then also The Edge. Do you remember The Edge? That was a sketch comedy show on Fox for a very short time. It had Jennifer Aniston, Tom Kenny, Wayne Knight was in that one as well. So she was part of that group. And now she acts as a casting director exclusively. So that's an interesting way to go about it. We already talked about the awards that this movie earned. It's really just the Saturn stuff. William Sadler and the special effects nomination. And then in terms of the MTV Movie Awards, shut out. But it was part of the quotes montage. Oh,
they didn't get nominated for anything?
No.
Huh. Yeah, not even like Best Villain?
Which is weird because, you know, they spent all this effort to talk, you know, to have a premiere party special for 3 hours on their network, and then, you know, they don't promote it further beyond that. I mean, there are some music connections. You have Primus making a cameo. You have Faith No More's James Martin at the beginning as part of the historical people. You have Taj Mahal as the gatekeeper of heaven. So you have a couple of people in there, but not enough to get the MTV Movie Awards to hop on board, I guess. So on to true crime and pop culture.
I'm going to skip to TV because I have the TV guide. But July 19th, 1991, that was a Friday. And on ABC, there was the typical TGIF lineup. It was all repeats. But on CBS, there were a bunch of... a couple of shows we haven't talked about before. The first one is Verdict, that's like a live court documentary style. It's just a half-hour show of like real court cases. So like pre-court TV.
Sure.
And in the TV guide, it was a Dubuque, Iowa trial of Alexander Julian Morgan charged with murdering his adoptive parents. They were shot to death in 1986. So I want to watch that. And after that was a special, which I had to look up. It was only, it's called Whose Side Are You On? And it only was like a 3-week special, and this week was the first week. And it was hosted by Mike Wallace. And in the first of this series, it was like 4 people on a panel, and each week it was a different person. Like sometimes they would have like a former police chief, and then like someone like an actor or actress, someone semi-famous like on a TV show, and then just like 4 random people talking about controversial topics.
Okay.
So, and then it's like this week the controversial topic was assisted suicide, and it's the 4 people on the panel, they give their argument kind of like a pro-con thing.
Sure.
And then to the viewers, and then like the viewers decide like whose side are you on.
So it's just a televised debate club.
Yeah.
I see.
And then after that was the 1990 version of The Flash.
Yeah. Which we've talked about a little bit because Mark Hamill.
Yeah, he's the trickster. And then when I was looking up about this TV series, I guess a lot of people, even the guy who played the Flash in this 1990 version, John Wesley Shipp, and then he makes appearances in the most recent one that's on like the CW now.
Okay.
Which I've never watched.
Yeah, I've never seen. I know it has a good following.
But he has played multiple characters and has also even played the Flash, like in some weird multi-universe thing in the most recent Flash.
They did multiverse before Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Marvel MCU got around to it.
And that episode was about a man who kills Barry. Barry is the Flash.
Yeah.
Barry's brother goes after the Flash with a missile that explodes and sends the Speedster 10 years into the future where he has no power and the killer is Central City's mayor.
Sounds like a spoiler to me in the description.
Mm-hmm. And then after The Flash is a show called Sweating Bullets. And
cop show?
It's a Canadian show, and in Canada it's called Tropical Heat, but in the US it was called Sweating Bullets.
Okay.
And it's an action series, sort of cop show. It revolves around a private investigator by the name of Nick Slaughter, an ex-DEA agent who, after arriving in a fictional resort town of Key Maria, Florida, and setting up a detective agency there, meets up with local tourist agent Sylvie Gerard to solve a variety of different cases. And that lasted 3 seasons.
Wow. I don't remember that name at all.
Me neither. But this episode was about a suspicious husband hires Nick and Sylvie to follow his wife, whom they see meeting her lover, who kills her during their observation.
Doesn't sound too funny, so I don't care.
And then on Fox, you had America's Most Wanted. And after that was Alien Nation. Do you remember that show? I mean, they made like 500 different versions of Alien Nation.
Yeah, I knew of it. I never watched any of it.
Me neither.
It seemed too adult and potentially scary for someone like me.
I wasn't scared. I just was like, I just never watched it. I remember seeing like covers, maybe even on TV Guide, like the people from the Alien Nation, where it's like, you know,
like
they're
lizard people.
Yeah. And then moving on to music, so the bottom 5 songs for the Billboard 100 as of July 20th, 1991. Number 100 is the song Move Right Out by Rick Astley. And number 90, well, that was 5 weeks on the chart and it peaked at number 81. Number 99 is a new debut song by someone by the name of Yasmin. The song is called Wanna Dance, and I was trying to find out stuff about her, but then I kept on being redirected to another singer by the name of Yasmin, who is like, she's like 33 years old, and I'm like, she couldn't have been this person because she would have been like 3 years old. So I couldn't find anything besides that this is just like a British dance song.
Okay.
And number 98 is the song Gotta Have You from Stevie Wonder, and this is on the Jungle Fever soundtrack. This was the debut of that song. Number 97 is the song Love at First Sight by Styx, which I've never heard of this song. And once again, this is just like bands from like the 70s trying to make music in the 90s.
Yeah, I feel like we had another Styx song at one point on the bottom 100.
Maybe. They're all kind of blurring too, because it's like all these bands are still trying to make music and stuff and be relevant.
Yeah.
And this song is just very adult contempo, even though they sort of do adult contempo songs before. That's just like they're trying to get apart. That's kind of like how Rick Astley, like this, the songs that are on the album for this year in 1991, they're all very soul driven and adult contemporary instead of poppy. And that's what I feel like these rock bands are trying to do too.
Yeah, maybe.
And that was 16 weeks on the chart, and that only peaked at number 25. And number 96 is a song called Couple Days Off by Huey Lewis and the News, which I never even heard of this song either.
No.
But it was like Huey Lewis trying to work on his acting or something, because the song will like stop midway and he would do like a bit.
Oh.
And then it will go back into the song.
Oh. That doesn't work very much.
Yeah.
Like Pat Benatar Loves the Battlefield, yeah. But Huey Lewis and News, probably not.
It was just like him wanting to take a couple days off. And it was, I don't know, whatever. That was 13 weeks on the chart, and it peaked at number 11.
Okay. That's pretty high for a song that we haven't really heard of much.
Right. That's all I got.
Okay. So on to rankings and ratings. Where on your 1 to 5 star scale are you going to put Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey?
I'm going to give this a 3.
I'm probably going to go a little bit higher than you. If you convert the scales. On my 0 to 4 star scale, I'm also going to say a 3.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think the first one is probably like a 3.5. It's really a lot of fun and enjoyable. This one is still there. It misses the mark on a little bit, but it's mostly the low production values that kind of drags it down. But in general, I think they did a great job of finding a new way to do stuff with the same characters. And so every movie's worth watching once. Would you watch this again?
Yeah.
I would too. I mean, it's only been 2 years since we saw it the last time. Give it another 2 years, I'd be ready to see it again.
Yeah.
So, if you out there want to watch Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, as of this recording in June 2022, it's available on Prime, HBO, Paramount Plus, Epix, Tubi, Pluto TV, Roku Channel, digital rental, VHS, DVD. Check your local listings. As for us, you can find us on your major podcasting platforms. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and tell your friends. You can email us at 1991movierewind@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and YouTube. Just search 1991 Movie Rewind or go to 1991movierewind.com for the full list of movies along with show notes and more. This month we're going to be doing something like buddy movies. So we started with Bill and Ted. We're going to move on to Company Business next. That's going to be on HBO Max, digital rental, VHS, and DVD. We will see you then.